All right. So I'm calling the public board meeting of the OWASP Foundation to order as the vice chair. I don't do anything besides call it to order.
You need to take attendance.
Oh, attendance. Yes, that's right. I used to be secretary. I should know this. I'm going to take attendance now. Steve. Here. Sam.
Here.
Ricardo.
Here.
And Matt, which is me, is here. And Avi is en route, but not present currently. And then
There's me.
Representing the OWASP staff is Andrew. Lauren is out in the hall rounding up people. I think that's kind of it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And then we've got several members of the community who are going to go up and speak. And I think we're pretty good there.
Yeah. We need to change the agenda.
We need a change to the agenda.
We need a vote on that.
Okay, we can vote on that. We need to change to do I have to do the conflict of interest first?
Yeah, do that first.
Let me do the conflict of interest first. So, as a board consists of individuals from many competing organizations, OWASP and its board shall abide by all applicable antitrust and competition laws to avoid any perceived or actual conflict of interest or antitrust concerns under U.S. federal, state, or regulations. Only the published agenda shall be discussed or voted upon or amended as below. If there are any conflicts of interest, board members are expected to disclose the conflict of interest and must recuse themselves from discussion and voting. We all agree to this, say aye.
Aye.
We have a general aye. Here we go. What agenda item are we adding to the board, to the?
The discussion around GISA.
Okay. We need to vote for that, correct?
You need to have a majority to change the actual.
Okay. Perfect. So I would like to propose that we add the GISA item to the board agenda. Can I get a vote for that? Or is there any discussion? Or a second, I guess, first.
Second.
Okay, Steve has seconded. Is there any discussion we need to take on this, or should we go directly to voting?
Vote.
Okay, let's start the voting. Steve?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Sam says yes. Ricardo?
Yes.
Ricardo says yes, and Matt says yes.
Yeah, because it is actually 3:30 in the morning for the folks from GISA, can we just do it right now and then we'll do the.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the background for this, and I'm going to introduce Mohammed.
The mic.
Mike.
Okay.
I will come closer to the remote. The background for this is the GISA chapter was accidentally created by the OWASP Foundation. In particular, we didn't check the distance between the Cairo chapter and the proposed GISA chapter. Now, I've suspended the chapter, and at this point they are suspended. What we'd like to do is allow the GISA chapter to have a right of reply, and they're on the phone right now. And the board is here. I will step back. So Mohammed?
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew. So from our point of view, we don't think we actually violated the proximity rule. For example, Andrew said that the proximity rule is like 80 kilometers and 50 miles. However, in Google Maps, it shows only like 6 kilometers, which doesn't reflect actually the distance between Cairo and Giza. Google Maps is just like measuring the distance at the edge. For example, if you open Google Maps and measure the furthest points from Giza and Cairo, you will find it like 500 kilometers. The furthest point between Giza to the nearest point to Cairo is like 150 kilometers. And even like now, after Egypt moved the 14 ministries from to the new administrative capital, you can find it like it's like I've shared distance in hours and things like that, and we find like it's like an average like 2 hours from Giza to Cairo, to the new administrative capital. So we don't think like it like violated the rule. It just Google Maps is like it's not accurate because it's just measuring the distance at the edges, like the border. So this is one of our points. Second point, like we have found like there is a presence of existing chapter exceptions, but under like have emphasized that exception is an exception, and you will like go and check these things out. Also, like we have spent like multiple and too much effort and time. For example, we have established like a current following of 700 followers. Our first event got like 5,000 viewers. We have like invested in logistics and contacted like printers to print like our stickers related to our chapter and things like T-shirt and things like that. Also, like we have been contacted like at last July by Dawn, and she told us that Cairo chapter leadership were upset. But you can continue and do like your stuff, and we have done that till like we received the mail from Andrew like I think 12th of September, which like it terminates or like postpone or inactivate like our chapter, things like that. So we believe that our Cairo chapter didn't violate the proximity rule. It just like Google Maps, like it's measuring points, not like accurate. And actually, which like us like the last point here, the distance between Cairo and Giza regarding transportation is so much large. Like you need like 2 transportations or 3 transportations, which takes lots of time and like in an inhumane conditions to get this microbus. We have like things like called microbus. This microbus, like people hate each other to get into this bus. And I know that because like I was living in Cairo, and my company Vodafone, it was and it's still now at Giza. So like transportation was like a hell for me, and this is like that's all.
So we'll get any questions from Mohammed.
Mohammed, hi, this is Steve Springett. Thank you, first of all, for staying up in ungodly hours of the night to present to us. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks so much, Steve.
What is the relationship that the Giza chapter has with the Cairo chapter at this point?
Actually, there's no relationship. Like they operate in Giza, they operate in Cairo, and we operate in Giza. But when Dawn contacted us, she told us that they are upset because we started our chapter near them in Giza. So they didn't even contact us or told us like cooperate with us at first. But after this incident by 2 months, Andrew told us that they are open for us to join them. And we actually told them that it's okay that they exist, we exist, we cooperate like as and 2 independent chapters, but there's no need to be like a single one chapter.
Okay, I think you finished your statement at that point.
Yes.
Okay. If the Giza chapter were to remain active, what is the plan for the Giza chapter and the Cairo chapter to participate in joint events together?
Actually, from like our perspective, for Cairo chapter, for Giza chapter, we will operate here in Giza. Actually, we contacted multiple industry leaders here in Egypt and prepared like an agenda for it. So we don't like I don't we don't have like any objections for us to cooperate together in Cairo or in Giza or in any other area which we are legally operated to operate it at it by OWASP standards or OWASP regulations. But like as an two independent chapters, we can operate like Giza chapter and Cairo chapter are planning to a new event.
One
And
final
we-
question, and then I'll hand it over to see if other board members have other questions. When you were mentioning the number of attendees to one of your events, I believe you corrected yourself. I believe you said 500 and then corrected to 5,000. I'm curious what the actual number was.
It's like the live attendees, like the maximum concurrent attendees, like they were like an 80, but the event itself was captured and recorded, and it got like 5,000 views on YouTube.
I got it. Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you for the clarification, Mohammed.
Thank you so much.
Are there any other comments, questions from the board?
Yeah. Hi, Mohammed. Can you hear me through this? Okay.
Yeah.
Again, thanks for joining at this late hour.
Thank you so much.
Question: when you're talking about Giza, are you talking about the city location that is closer to Cairo, or are you talking about the whole, directly the whole region that is, my understanding, sparsely populated?
Like here in Egypt, like it's like divided into multiple cities, which we call it like governorates, or in Arabic we call it muhafaza. So Giza is like an independent governorate, according even to Britannica. Actually, and Cairo is like a separate governorate here in Egypt. So like they are two separate cities.
Right. So I understand that. So my understanding is that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that Giza is both a city and a much larger region. I think you said close to 500 kilometers
Yes.
wide and long.
Yes.
So when you're talking about the chapter meetups and the chapter events, are you talking about within the city area, or are you trying to cover that whole long region?
Like we don't have, I know that for example, in United States, we have a state and there's cities inside the states. We don't like have this principle here in Egypt, or like this concept in Egypt. It's like just one country, and there's some separate governorates, which like is an equivalent to city. So like it's not like a region which contains cities, like it's like one independent city.
So in one of the map attachments that you had sent, you highlighted the whole Giza. I don't know if this is the governorate or the whole region that outside of just the city, it's like 500 kilometers long.
It's not like, I think it's more much more than 500 kilometers. It's just the distance between the first point from Giza itself to the furthest point to Cairo. It's like 500 kilometers. Not just the distance inside the city itself or the Giza itself.
Right. So my question is, are you talking about holding meetups throughout that whole 500 kilometers distance, or just in the city center?
No, the region itself, not just the center.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Hi, Mohammed. This is Sam Stepanian. I do have a couple of questions for you as well. So first question goes back to, again, kind of repeating what some of the other board members said. But a question that I have is, OWASP Cairo chapter existed since 2007, so for 17 years. Have yourself or Adam, or you are the Giza chapters, have you ever attended OWASP Cairo chapter events in the past 17 years?
Yes, I have attended one of the like multiple events, and fun fact, like I was working at a company which was like owned by one of WASP Cairo chapter leaders, Mohammed Al-Fatah. So like I have attended them regularly when I was working for the company. I have attended before even joining his company. And even I like proposed multiple workshops, but they said it's like an okay, great thing like that, but they like didn't invite me even to be a speaker in one of their events. So
Okay,
like
so
one of
you were
yeah.
aware, so there is already a chapter, and there's already a local community for OWASP. Despite this, you still decided to create a own chapter, and that's what I'm trying to understand the reasons for that. Because if yourself were already a part of the Cairo community, what were specific reasons why you decided that this community is not good enough, or why did you decide to create your own?
Like first of all, like I have known that there is a local chapter in Cairo, but there's like no other chapters in any city in Egypt, including Giza. So one of my like vision and mission, Egypt, like it's like a centralized country. Uh, so what I wanted to do, like I wanted to encourage multiple other persons to start local chapters related to their community to reflect like their culture combined with OWASP itself. So I have like started to launch OWASP Giza and contacted multiple other people here in Egypt, like from Aswan to Alexandria to multiple other regions, multiple other cities to start their own local chapters to like promote WASP itself and like reflect their own culture in this chapter. This is like my first point. My second point, like I think, like having a country with like 100 million people. It's like it won't fit these all people if there's like let's say like 100,000 people working in cybersecurity. One chapter won't fit them in physical space, and even if they want to talk or having a talk, which like what happened to me, for example, when I wanted to like give a talk, but there are multiple other people. Also, like there is like a constant repetition on the speakers. If you have like go to like WASP Cairo, yeah, like the past events, you will find like there's like certain speakers constantly and just like some little variations. So I wanted like to have like multiple like people in cybersecurity to participate in this chapter. And yeah, that's all, like promoting the local chapter ideas and giving people that multiple other people platform to like join and speak.
Okay, but it sounds to me that you were unhappy that there wasn't a great diversity of speakers. But did you speak? But because you attended and you knew the Cairo chapter leaders, did you talk to them or you propose other speakers for them? Is that because they denied, or what is the actual reason? Because if it sounds from what you just said that they wanted to create a new chapter because you wanted the opportunity to speak and see other speakers, and you didn't see that happening in Cairo, and that's why you got frustrated and created your own chapter, right?
Like actually, like I don't want to speak right now because I have my own like public speaking stuff. For example, I've participated as speaker in WASP Algeria post event. Like I wanted to give people like a platform to speak, not myself, other people, like much more people and more diverse people to speak. And we can't like do it in like a single chapter because like we have a huge population. So one chapter to serve this huge population, I don't think like it will give all people opportunity to participate, participating like attending the events and participating by like giving talks. So like if Cairo chapter exists, Giza chapter exists, and the rest of like 22 cities existing, like we will have local communities where every people like will be able to participate by going by in physical terms and can participate like in having like talks and like and socializing with people, multiple other people.
Okay. And next question that I have for you, Mohammed, is about the event that you had. My understanding is you had only one event as a chapter. Is that correct, or did you have two?
Like we have like one, and the next like was planned to be next week, but we received the mail from Andrew that we need to stop operating. So we contacted the speaker for this event and actually multiple other speakers for next weeks. And they told told them that we need to postpone because like there is like an issues, and when we resolve it, we will resume events. Like this one thing, and this the second thing, like we didn't have like a sense of security. For example, when we started the chapter, we started, me and my friend Adam, and like we were trying to find like the good things and bad things from various
That's
events,
fine.
and we went, yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot. My question about this event that you run, right? So you're
Yeah.
saying, did you have about 80 in-person people attending this event? Is that right? So you only had one event. Okay, from this 80 people who attended, do you know how many people were actually living in Cairo and not in Giza?
In Cairo, I
Yeah.
don't think like I don't have like a stats for it.
Okay, and another question is about the YouTube video that you mentioned, because I cannot find it on your webpage, and I searched YouTube for I cannot find it. Would you be able to share the link to it in the Zoom chat, please?
Yes.
Because okay, thank you. What else? Anyone else? Okay, I'll pass it back to the chair then.
As a YouTube video itself, like, right?
All right, I guess I'm taking back over the meeting as the chair. This is Avi again, by the way. So is there any other comments from board? Any other discussion on this? Is the ask now that we vote to reverse this decision?
I don't think we should vote now, because we should probably take it for discussion
Right, I
and
agree.
have it and add it as an agenda, because this is an additional item added to the agenda and
Yep.
something that we need to.
I agree. We'll have more discussion time for that. All right, thank you so much for joining us. We will try and get back to you as soon as possible. I don't know exactly when that will be.
Okay, sure, no problem. And I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to defend our chapter, and thank you so much. And I've sent the YouTube video here in the chat.
Thank you.
This is the meetup page where you find that yeah. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you very
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Bye. All right, so we will get back to our regular order of business. Yes?
Yes. So, I just wanted to let Tom Brennan and Rachel know that we're probably not going to get to them today.
Okay.
So do you want to just let them know?
Did you just?
Oh, so
Do they not hear you?
that's the thing.
Tom's here.
Yeah, hi, Tom.
Oh, there.
Hi guys, how are you?
Now, we can either do a special meeting, or we can actually just get you scheduled onto October's meeting. It's not on the agenda today, and we've got a pretty packed agenda. So do you want to do it as October, or do you want a special meeting?
Yeah, October is fine. We just want to give you guys an update as to where we're at with the program.
Okay, great. I'm really looking
Thank
forward to it, and we'll see you in October.
Sounds great then. Thank you.
So-
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thought you were saying, I don't know.
Yeah, well, the audio was interesting. You got that for recording purposes, but that for video purposes.
Gotcha, all right.
Okay,
I believe we are now up to the executive director summary, yes?
that's right.
Did the,
We did not do.
We
the
did not
approval
do
of
that.
please hold on that, Andrew.
Yeah.
We do need to read in the previous meeting minutes from August.
Yes.
Can somebody share that on screen? Can
Oh,
you share that on the Zoom?
It's on the Zoom, it's shared.
Oh,
No, it's
no,
not.
it's not, it is not.
Oh, everyone think I'll share the screen.
All right, thank you.
there's the agenda. Approval of minutes.
You don't
Feels
share.
like so long ago.
I'm not sure.
I'm sure.
Here's the agenda. Oh. Now you're sharing. Wonderful. Have all the board members read through this?
Yes.
Reviewed it? Yep, wonderful. With all that being said, I'm going to take a vote by according to the names next to me. Matt, approval of the minute of the August minutes.
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Ricardo,
Yes.
and that is a yes for me as well. August minutes are approved. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Andrew.
Okay, so, slideshow. I think I've got a video coming from the finance folks. Search for that after this. Okay, project summit update. Star's not here, so I'm going to skip, but there is actually, we're trying to get some publicity going for that. So if any project leaders wish to participate in the project summit, please go ahead and register for it. It's in the UK at the beginning of November. So there are limited funds based upon need to get you there. So it's not like you can't get there. I believe that attendance is very minimal cost, basically covering our hotel accommodations. We are talking with one of the major platforms. We have both platforms for vulnerability disclosure. We're renewing our relationship with Bugcode. And to do that, we need to do some work before we get ahead of ourselves. We need to think about what we're going to do with our media wiki, which is wiki.OWASP. It's 5 years old now. The information is getting stale. You can get it from the Wayback Machine. This is probably a proposal that we need to bring to October with a bit more flesh around it. Sam's asked for, can we actually mirror it as a static site? But if we're going to go with the vulnerability disclosure platform, I'm expecting us to actually find a number of issues, problems we've got. We have updated the base operating system and the media wiki itself recently, but it's also the only source of the data breach we've ever had at OWASP. So it's not necessarily the media wiki's fault that that happened, especially along the lines of there was information there that we didn't know existed. We will get a penetration test of PO's pages just to make sure that we're not going to get the same reports numbers in data. It has been a long time since we've done a pen test of any of our stuff. Next policy reviews, I'm proposing expenses, chapters, events, and projects. And if events, we need to get our contracts and agreements reviewed by legal. In particular, events sponsorship agreement that is. It gets a lot of feedback from the corporate supporters who are coming in and trying to sponsor our events. They often try to delete sections they don't like. Let's try to get a piece of paper for them to sign.
Andrew, can I point out that while we're doing that, we should also have standard templates for project sponsors as well.
Okay.
These are not very common, but they should be. And we should have standard project template for that.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah. The expense policy we'll talk about in the leaders meeting tomorrow. It does need your assistance as leaders to come in and assist us with revising that, because there's a distinct issue with what's reasonable expenses, what the IRS thinks are reasonable expenses, and what we think are reasonable expenses. They're three very different things. So let's get together and come up with a mutually agreeable outcome for that, okay? We're not ready to talk about AppSecurity 2025. We haven't received the contract yet. Now that's a real shame. I would have loved to have announced that by Friday. If we do receive it and I can review it and get Bill to review it.
I'm announcing it tomorrow morning at 9:05. That's all that, man.
The association management platform is waiting for membership day, which is the 30th of September. We also have a bit of a delay relating to leaders not being members. What we might need to do is just simply go forward with what we've got, and then get leaders to submit tickets to become chapter leaders in the AMS, which feels like a lot of extra work for us, but we're not getting the sort of conversion from non-leaders, non-members into leaders, and so can't wait.
I'd like to request, Andrew, that tomorrow at the leaders meeting, expand on that a bit. Explain to leaders also what the AMS is and why we need it and how this will help leaders.
2 or 3 slides on it.
Good, we're good.
Good. Okay, leaders as members, we are now at, we've had a good number of people join as members. I've got to say, thank you to the 74 people who have joined members. We also had around 12 people step down as leaders, which is honestly, if you're if your interests have changed and you don't have the time, that's actually a good outcome. It actually helps us. It's not exactly the end of the world for these projects and chapters. It's really, it's the normal turnover that we would expect. Okay. But we still have a significant number, 692 of non-member readers. We are struggling to contact them. We've contacted them in multiple different ways. What we might need to do is just seriously sit down with Stripe and manually email everybody who's got a secondary email address. That's where we're at the moment. We've been trying to contact them with LinkedIn. We've been trying to contact them with Twitter. We've done social media posts. We've done mail outs. We've done Slack announcements. There's only so much we can do. But this is a problem that has been with us since we started membership in 2006. We've never required membership until now. And so this is a problem that's just going to have to get itself solved. The timeline, there is a number of things that will stop working for leaders. I know it's incredibly tiny text, and I'm sorry for that. But there are a number of things that stop on September 30, October 1. The number one thing is that non-members won't be able to create new chapters. They won't be able to create new events and new projects. So you'll need to be a member before you can do those things. The other one that's probably going to be most problematic for project leaders, sorry, chapter leaders, is funding expenses. You need to be a member, and we're going to be checking that pretty religiously when we come to do expenses. This is our best way of actually getting people who haven't listened to our message so far to become members. It's progressive. It doesn't start with, you're not a leader. It starts with, you just can't do things they just used to be able to do. And then it progressively gets worse for you. The main benefit is basically you get access to the benefits when you become a complimentary member. On the financial member, you get a vote. So right now you get neither of those things. And we would really prefer it if you become a financial member. The complimentary membership is available. So you don't want to stop people from becoming complimentary members. The election process has started. We have on the 30th is membership day. That's when the cutoff is to be a member to get a ballot. We could potentially move that into October, but I don't want to. I would prefer it if we could just have our elections on the schedule that we've got. But the reality is this also is holding up the ANS. Kelly, I don't think has updated that slide because she's actually got a much better number. And in fact, when we saw the budget process this morning, they had a much better number. So let's skip that. Finance, I need to find the video they've sent. I will point out that we've got more members than we've ever had before. And we've got some slides on, is Lauren in the room? Nope. Okay. Let me just get to the events. Oh, it's been summary. We basically budgeted for 840, we got 1,044. So that is amazing. So we were right on target for our sponsorships, but we exceeded revenue for registrations. San Francisco, we are now at, the budget is 1,155. We're currently at 1,050, so we're not far off. People still registering. Conference obviously starts tomorrow, so we'll find out. Okay, the developer day, we did actually pull this off. We probably went into a virtual developer day. That's people aren't Giving Tuesday goes. Realistically, we've got so much on the agenda. I would like just give me a minute while I find a finance video. So get that up on the screen for you.
Yes, there we go.
That's kind of cool. And it's still very fortunate to look at that. So, yeah, I mean, basically, we're in a strong position. We do have quick bills to pay. We've already paid. And then the trainer expenses are some of the big unknowns. We don't know how many training trainers need to submit within 60 days. So if you are a trainer, please submit your invoice within 60 days. Yes, that goes for you too. Okay. With that, I'm going to have a presentation.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Chris and Absentia. We'll get back onto our regular business. Our next item is the project committee update. Who recognizes Bjorn? Bjorn, be on camera, maybe. Here, Yosh. Okay. If not, go.
There you go.
Can we grab that and put it here? Hold over my shoulder then. Could you bring up the slides, please?
Disconnected. Oh, you sent them slides. Professional.
Direct message to you, Star, and.
You did see something. I know. Up to date on everything. I will ping you there. Gotcha.
Okay, so the last one I had from you was on February 2023.
No, it's a group DM. I just pinged you. In the meantime, I'll say thank you for joining us, Bjorn, after a long day of DSOM.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to do that, but in the interest of my own jet lag and everybody's time, I will keep it short. Oh, next slide. Yep, please, the next one. So, pretty straightforward. So this is the report from the project committee, basically for the year 2023, 2024. The last one we did 21 for 21, 22. So, just as a reminder, mission statement for the project committee is to provide support and guidance required by projects, drive and contribute to the overall mission and goals of OWASP. Current committee members, myself as chair, Jeff Foley as vice chair, Donny Brown as secretary, three additional members, Jason Gillen, Michael Barbery, and Domenico, and Star obviously as our staff. So we have our own website, and we have continuous meeting minutes since the project was founded on Google Docs. So, some achievements of the last time span, so to say. So up until now, we processed 70 promotion reviews from projects. So projects that would like to graduate from from incubator to lab status, or from lab status to production status, which we introduced in 2022, I think. So we had 15 passed reviews and 2 failed ones, which compared to the last time span is a huge increase in pass. So we had back then 11 versus 12 versus 6 failed ones, so over 50% failure rate. So as an optimist, I would say the fact that we published the requirements for the graduations helped quite a bit, because we get now better prepared requests for actual promotion. Currently, there's 2 requests still open, maybe 3 by the time this meeting happens, but that's our usual backlog service. We do our reviews by now mostly asynchronously. So we look once in a while into the backlog, which is still fed from a Google form, and then basically one committee member does a primary review, and then typically asks for some secondary opinion from 2 or 3, from 1 or 2 other members. So we get our expected at least 2 votes for promotion or failed promotion from committee members. For graduations, we also allow, as is documented on the website, that if you request a promotion, you can basically bring your first review already along by just asking some other project leader to do the review steps. You can basically just deliver this along with your request, so that only 1 additional committee member needs to take a look, and it will overall just be a lot faster for us to process. Unfortunately, nobody did this so far. So this is basically a sales pitch for this method, right? So if you would like to get a project promoted,
please just bring your first review along by another project leader. That's totally fine for us and would help us with the backlog project. So other achievements. So we established two nice new Slack channels, which are automatically fed with information about projects. One is for announcing new projects, essentially looking for projects starting with the www prefix, so the project website, and a sweeper channel, which basically looks for also project websites, but those which have never been updated since they've been created. So there's currently no real actions formally being taken based on these channels, but it's good to know at least if there are some candidates to maybe archive or just remove from the inventory. We just have to make sure that we formalize the handling of this a little bit. Donnie actually created, among many other tools, a page which automatically updates and lists all the all the project website repos with some basic stats like number of pickup stars and last update time and all that stuff. So which is also quite convenient when trying to find inactive projects, as in did not change their project website in the recent past. Asking to the project areas, that would be very important. Yeah, that would be nice as well. So other achievements. So there was an initiative established called Funding Friday Huddles. So basically, you can discuss possible funding requests on Slack in a dedicated channel. And we also established a discussion board on GitHub for committee questions, which is mostly used as a backlog right now, but could also be used for more, let's say, more permanent discussions than otherwise would happen on Slack. Some ongoing topics. The screening of new project proposals. We need to still formalize a bit. We actually got a lot better already there because we now at least see incoming new project requests and we at least take a brief look. And but this happens currently mostly informally on Slack. But Star takes then the feedback that we get into account when we're replying to the requests. So just as one example, one of our let's say favorite candidates is always the next top 10 project that comes along. So we're often, let's say, at least skeptical about how many we still need of these, and we at least give some honest, sometimes harsh feedback about, okay, maybe this should instead just be a cheat sheet, but doesn't need to be a thing.
Do we have a top 10 list of top 10s yet?
That's what I would also propose at some point. Yes.
A question for you, Bjorn, about that is, as long as you brought up the top 10s.
Yes.
They're treated currently as every other documentation project.
Yes.
They're not a documentation project, they're a top 10 project. But we don't have that as a classification.
Not a category, yes.
Should it be?
My personal, not committee opinion, just my personal opinion, I think we should have way less top 10s. And then we don't need a category. If we introduce a category, we're basically saying, okay, top 10s are fine as a subtype. But from my point of view, they're actually not. So there's maybe a handful of top 10s which are really useful. The other ones are either derivatives of other ones, or ask for such a narrow scope that you could just take the content, remove this whole 1, 2, 3, 10 syntax, make it into a cheat sheet, everything fine. And we had already, I forgot which one, but I think for one we actually convinced the requester to actually do exactly that, like introducing a cheat sheet into the existing project, which in the end just is much more useful.
Because we know a lot of the top 10s are just vendors wanting to list their features.
That
We know that.
sometimes looks like it when you check them. Yes.
But if you do create it as its own category, I'm speaking loud so I pick up all the microphones. if you do create a new category with its own guardrails and constraints and limitations, like it has to be a top 10 project, people are going to submit it anyway. But if you say to do a top 10 project, it has to be not a documentation project, it's a data project. And then you put a bunch of, what do you think that might cut back on some of the fluff of top 10s?
It would formalize them a bit more if we actually follow up on these data requirements. But still, my opinion, we just should not introduce any more top 10s, and we should
Or to reject all top 10s?
really, no, not every top 10 by default, but some are really so niche, special, and that doesn't make much sense.
And some are so generic and fluffy.
I would keep the classic OWASP top 10, obviously. I still think the mobile OWASP top 10 is also a good idea because there's really some significant difference. And then maybe 3-4 others which are also good enough. And I didn't look into the data quality right underneath, but just from the difference between the OWASP. But some are really just a very similar list like the classic OWASP top 10 with such a minimal diff that it doesn't make sense.
Thank you.
But again, personal opinion, right?
Next. Okay, last but not least, an evergreen topic is the project handbook, so which is now on the OWASP website. But we had discussed already if we could present it in a slightly more readable, nice manner, but we didn't find someone to actually convert it into ASCII doc yet on the typical website markdown layout. But maybe this will happen at some point. That's good. That would be really nice, and then it would look a little bit like the juice shop ebook, which is not the ugliest. So is that the last one? That is the last ongoing topic, and then there's only one item on the topic of funding requests, and it's not a concrete one. Actually, let's say at least in the aftermath of the Z project meeting, we started a discussion about could OWASP somehow make it possible to sponsor developers for projects, and the discussion was basically just initiated some time ago by Donny, but it has not been really actively discussed. So I would like for you to maybe take a look and chime in on the ideas posted there.
Yeah.
And that's it. Okay. So I'll grab that here and put it into the board list.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Bjorn. Does anybody have any questions or comments to Bjorn?
I do have Bjorn, I know the new project handbook is still a work in progress, but I think the question which is being asked the most, people who approach me personally, they are trying to find the answer to the question how to start a new OWASP project and what are the requirements. So I know in the project committee there is a best practices tab, but that's what good OWASP project should look like, but it doesn't go through the actual procedure process. So how does someone apply and start a new project? So it's just basically something that would be good to detail on the project.
Yep, agreed. So basically, it's
Speaking to the device.
of course not only this. So new project request is as everything handled with a Jira issue essentially, right? Or Jira service desk item. But we don't have like a get started guide published anywhere yet. But that should exactly. So the old handbook pretty much still applies. Just I guess some links will be outdated. But I think the current work in progress version of the handbook on the website has the latest information more or less. At least the link to the Jira should be correct. But we could just have a more prominent place where we just point to that and maybe give a few starting hints.
One. Regarding the sponsored developer initiative that you mentioned, I realize that it's still early days in the discussion, but do you think you'd be able to build out a proposal of what that could look like? How we, put guardrails on, how we can encourage companies and sponsors to support that, and what they would get for that? Like, to kind of create a package that we can go and shop around and sell this to corporates that have the budget for it.
So, okay, so basically the discussion page on GitHub is already not fully fleshed out, but a decent proposal starting point.
I'm looking at that. It's good. Okay. So yeah,
Yeah, and
so,
kudos to Donnie for actually writing.
yeah, so when you are comfortable, when the committee is comfortable with this, bring this to the board and approve it as whatever it is, and we'll go for it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Other questions? No?
All right. Bjorn, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your patience and committee. All right. Thank you. Next up on our agenda is the chapter committee update. Edmund.
Yeah.
That's Edmund. Here you go. Edmund, nice to meet you in person.
Nice meeting you as well.
Here you go.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm gonna just go through what we have started doing this year, building on the work that previous chapter committee has done, especially him. And so we have started reviewing the chapter committee the chapter handbook, which is basically helping other chapters to start chapter, answer basic questions that they might have. And the review has been completed, and we have we're ready to go review that with the rest of the chapter committee. And I have to mention the chapter committee is the chairman is Kyle Smith. I'm the vice chairman, and Garth Boyd is the chapter secretary, chapter committee secretary. And so we have liaisons with the board through Dawn. And oftentimes we have visits from Avi and Sam, and Andrew sometimes shows up and helps us go through the meeting. So the chapter committee the chapter handbook has been completed. The review is completed. We're waiting for a complete rundown by the rest of the committee members, and whoever can has input to provide that input. And but we were told by Dawn to sort of put a hold on it since the AMS has come in, and there might be some changes that might impact all the changes that we've done in there. So we're in a holding pattern right now, waiting for final go ahead to continue the work and finalize that. To anyone that's listening to us, the chapter committee page on OWASP.org has recent information on it. So if you have any questions for the chapter committee and you need help organizing whatever challenges you're facing, there's contact names in there. We are on Slack, and we monitor the Slack channel. So reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you going forward. We're also creating a bunch of slides and videos that's in the work that hopefully will make it a little bit more easier for chapter members and leaders to watch the process rather than reading through narrative. Make it easier. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Anybody have any comments or questions? So I actually have one leading question, if you don't mind.
Of course.
A bit of a leading question. You mentioned the officers of the committee, and I noticed they're all US based, if I'm not mistaken. Is there?
Canada.
It's practically US. Oh, so I'm gonna get mails about this. I know. Send letters. That's fine. North America based show, English speaking North America.
Yeah.
That said, are there committee members that are not in that region as a global organization? And like I said, it's a bit of a leading question.
Well, Tobias Lamser is from Germany, so he is the one that leads that video and slide deck presentations for us. But on the officer list, there's none.
Not the officers, committee members, people
Committee,
that
yeah.
join, that are part of the
Yeah,
committee. that join.
And then we have other members that usually show up. Guy Osa from Metro New York shows up.
Yeah.
What's
No, it's not. New York is not America.
And Mohammed Al Fatah from Cairo also shows up for meetings. So the meetings.
But also,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the meeting invite is on the OWASP calendar. So everybody that wishes to join, more than welcome to join us and provide feedback, ask questions, provide ideas. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much. Any from the attendees here? All right. Okay, thank you so much, Evan. All right, next item, and I think we're gonna go through this bit quickly. We have a bunch of several motions to approve several policy changes. And I'd like to go through this in quick sequence. Andrew, I'll ask you to pull them up one by one as we go through it. And I want to point out, the vote here is not, is this the exact way you would want to write it? There's, of course, always going to be quibbles about language and tone, whatever. And I know that I had to hold myself back from making last minute comments about this word or that word. And because that doesn't matter, as policy, does it express what we're wanting to do? So the first motions, we actually do not have sponsors for these motions.
Yes, we do. It's below the motion.
Below the motion.
Like here. Steve and Sam is pretty much every one of them.
Motion.
Motion below the motion, Steve and Sam.
Okay, so the first one does not. Okay,
Oh, no,
motion to approve board code of conduct does not have a sponsor.
It's
Right there.
I don't see that. Oh, sorry. Hard to see that on mobile. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the board code of conduct. Yes. And that's preparation for the election, of course. The sponsor here is Steve, seconded by Sam. Has everybody read through the board code of conduct, the new version, the updates?
Yes.
Motion resolved that the draft board code of conduct is approved. On screen, yes, we do. Can you walk us through it real quick, Andrew, the highlight the
major changes. The major changes are that
Yeah.
I've got my mark. Okay. The major changes for the board code of conduct is actually to simplify it a great deal, make sure that there's no duplication for the standard code of conduct, because we expect the board to adhere to that as well. And it also simplifies the language in much of the way it's expressed, and it's been reviewed by the lawyers. They're the major changes for the board code of conduct. It is simpler, shorter, and less duplicative of the standard code of conduct.
Wonderful. Yep. All right. Sponsored by Steve, seconded by Sam. With all that being said, I will now poll for votes. I'm going to start on the far end. Ricardo?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. The new board code of conduct is approved. Moving on to the next, motion to approve code of conduct policy. This is the standard standing one.
Yes, so this didn't get too much of a makeover. This was literally to make sure that it was aligned with the board code of conduct, reviewed by the lawyers, reviewed by us. There was no comments during the comment period. It doesn't change any of the anti-harassment or anything like that. It just simply makes sure that the board code of conduct says something that is not applicable to members, then it got moved, and the other way around. So
There are a bit of language changes there. Yeah, just lawyers.
lawyers,
Lawyers being lawyers.
but we needed to make sure that it covered off from a legal perspective everything and everything else.
So the motion is resolved that the draft code of conduct policy is approved, sponsored by Steve, seconded by Sam. Any comments, discussion? Polling from the far end, right, left, doesn't matter. Ricardo?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And that is a yes for me as well. The code of conduct is approved. Next one up is a motion to approve the conflict of interest policy, again, in preparation for the election, again, affecting the board of directors, executive director, and so on. Andrew, can you walk us through the core changes?
Okay, the core changes here are quite extensive from a legal point of view. So this was a legal document before. What what I asked him in the brief was to simplify the language, and he did. So if you compare it line by line compared to our previous one, it is way different, but it's fundamental still.
The spirit stays the same,
That's right.
just expressed in human language and not letters.
Yeah, and it really clarified a few things that we've actually experienced problems with on our own board. So it's much clearer the review of who's conflicted, for what reasons, and to what extent are your personal family members and things like that, are they conflicted with causing problems? And so I think it's a lot clearer, but it will be something that we probably need to step new board members through so they understand. They're going to set out a discussion. They need to declare, they need to set out a discussion and vote. And it's a lot simpler than it used to be.
Any comments or questions from the board? I have a question. Did you take the new policy and see how this compare with those issues that we have had in the past?
It would have resolved 2020 issue.
Okay.
It would have actually made the 2020 August discussion of what's informed.
Yeah, August. Okay.
I will just leave it at that.
Leave it at that. Leave it at that.
And in 2023, when we had a board member who didn't declare financial interest in the organisation we're working for, it would have also made that extremely simple.
Very good. All right. Okay, so we have a motion. Resolve that the draft conflict of interest policy is approved, sponsored by Sam, seconded by Steve. I'm sorry, I do have a second question. I remembered we actually had some discussion on this area at the board summit in JFK. Was in March. Are those issues also reflected? Important to point out.
I don't think it's going to change the vote, but I'm going to have to give you I'll do on notice.
To be clear, that was more of a clarification statement. That what is not covered by that. So it shouldn't change the conflict of interest policy, but there are things that might need to just be tacked on as these things are not included.
So let me go back and review my notes from JFK and get you an answer. I don't know mislead you.
Yeah, I don't know if that it needs to be in the policy, because again, it's what's not in the policy.
Yeah.
By definition. All right, with all that being said, we have the motion. Resolve that the draft conflict of interest policy is approved, sponsored by Sam, seconded by Steve. Starting by the far end, Ricardo.
Yes.
Sam.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
And that is a yes for me as well. Next policy, not the last one. Motion to approve election policy.
Okay, so this one has things that the new bylaws require of the election policy and put them into their elections policy, such as direct qualifications and things like that. So Ricardo and Bill spent some time on this one, going through those. And then we did actually have some feedback from one of the staff members. That feedback was rejected, which was to allow for the board to nominate independent individuals who aren't members, but we put that provision in for good reason, and so that was actually rejected feedback. All the other feedback, the elections policy was accepted. Some of it is very operational, like moving the time zone for the elections to midnight EST instead of PDT. That's just simply to make it possible for us to actually know who the winner is on the night of the announcement. But at the end of the day, basically, the elections policy.
Still US based stuff.
Well, it's because that's where the staff actually monitor it from. We have to pick a time zone.
And headquarters of the OWASP is legitimate.
Yeah, and so this is the sole calendar for the elections left on the website. And that's it. Okay, so, and it's phrased as the next business day. So if something falls on a Sunday or a Saturday, it'll be Friday or Monday. So we don't have calendars running around. So there's a lot of information elsewhere on the website. Voter qualifications, the new bylaws basically say that the voters must be individual members, they're voting members, which means financial/paid. We use the term voting member as a for this document. Candidate qualifications, this is exactly that 12-month period that we didn't have in the bylaws this year. And the director qualifications, again, these are required by the new bylaws, and also we've formalized what we actually have done in the past, which is you don't have to get submit all the paperwork and everything by the time you sit. The incoming board has the ability to remove you and replace you with someone. The director attendance, the general board meetings here in the calendar year are within special board meetings, board protocols, and other meetings for that forum government requirements. That's a change. The reason for that is that there's 24-hour notice for special board meetings. And we don't feel that's reasonable. That we could hold several special board meetings that don't review, and then all of a sudden, no.
You just pushed the wall.
Maybe about 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, speeding things up. There's a fair few changes. I hope you read them. If you don't have them, then you can always come back and modify them at a later point.
So we have this, the motion to approve it, resolved that the draft elections policy is approved, sponsored by Sam, seconded by Steve. Any comments, discussion? Starting on the far end, Ricardo.
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
and that is a yes for me as well. Faces.
Okay.
This is not the last one, another one. Motion to approve the membership policy.
Okay, so membership policy, we basically added a section about leaders must be members, which is the way it's taken in March. It's now part of policy. And eventually, we wanted to make sure that that was actually reflected somewhere in policy. Membership.
Lovely. The motion is resolved that the draft membership policy is approved, sponsored by Steve, seconded by Sam this time. Comments, questions? So somebody raising his hand in the back, got confused. Taking votes, Ricardo,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
And that is a yes for me as well. The membership policy is now approved.
Last one.
Last one, motion to approve the force majeure policy.
Okay, so the major change here is to help prevent abuse of the force majeure. And now explicitly, the people, the board that actually introduced the second rules, we're now making it very clear it's about the rules. It also means that essentially you only get your G Suite and your accounts after we've actually verified your ID, because we've just had so much abuse of the situation. And lastly, that there is actually an audit procedure and what happens if you fail that audit. So that's the changes.
For context and background, can you read that into the record, like the issues that we've had with that?
We've had people sign up for force majeure using VPNs and other things. They've stored copyrighted materials, child sexual abuse material and other things on there. So really unsavory stuff. We probably have 1,000 folks who are not properly registered. Yes, I know. I'm underestimating. We need to do an audit of around 1,700 complementary members and get their proof of ID that matches an address on the government thing. So we would expect the vast majority of those accounts to be deleted within the year.
Okay, wonderful. So the motion is resolved that the draft force majeure policy is approved. Any comments, questions?
I have a comment. Andrew, I think we missed, or maybe because it says we need to review it periodically. Do we want to add at least annually there for the sanctions?
The sanctions.
Yeah.
And that wasn't just the feedback that we received. So periodically review. So we're suggesting that we actually,
At least annually,
we do actually follow it.
do we?
Yeah.
Okay, but it just doesn't stay with, what is the
If you
period?
do, if you do it once a decade, that is not periodic.
Yeah, so, but,
So,
I don't suppose it does change. The sanctions in Russia are very targeted towards individuals. It's actually really difficult for us to manage those. The sanctioned countries are much easier to work with. They do change on a regular basis. So, yeah, no, Dawn and I have given it before. I'm happy to, do you want to put a motion in to modify that periodically to be quarterly?
no, it should still say periodically, but should have the maximum at least annually, for example.
We'll do a supplementary motion with the data right now to get it changed when we actually.
are we comfortable approving the policy as stands, Sam? We vote on that as it now and then change it?
Can we do
Yeah,
an
you can-
amendment, or can I propose an amendment? Or we vote for it now and amendment during the next meeting?
Yeah.
Let's do it this way.
All right, so the motion to approve force majeure policy. Resolve that the draft of force majeure policy is approved, sponsored by Sam, seconded by Steve, still sponsoring it? Sam, still sponsoring it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Taking votes, Ricardo,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
And that is a yes for me as well. Force majeure policy changes are approved as well. Fantastic. We got through all the changes to policy. That's good. Next up on our agenda, can you go back to the agenda slide, please? I'm very excited to announce the AppSec 2025 conferences. Can we do that? I gave you till 9:05 tomorrow morning, so you have a few minutes while we're talking, come on.
Okay, so, in all likelihood, it's going to be basketball in late May.
Late May, last week of May.
Last week, okay?
Yeah.
Week of May.
Last week of May.
That's the date, 23rd of May.
That's true.
Okay, so we haven't received the contract yet, so we haven't signed it, so, I'm at about a 95% confidence rate we'll sign it as long as the contract is reasonable terms.
I would point out that it is immediately after AppSec Israel. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Hopefully we won't get bombed out, so. And I mean that literally for a change. Sorry. Moving on, any additional business, any other comments? Open up to the floor, anybody else have anything to say? Well, then, all right, I'm going to move for adjournment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Always. Well, it is moved and seconded to adjourn. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all very much. Thank you all for attending. It was fun. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Have a night.
All right.
Is this thing on?